Let's try again then, shall we? Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, January 14th, 2016, and this is the Daily Rocket. My name is Shalthus, and we are going to be talking about the ESL Monthly Final. We're going to be talking about Rocket League Central Pro League, and more. But we are just hot off the heels of a very exciting and fairly unexpected result series of results, I should say, in the ESL December Monthly Final for Europe. So, either way, we're going to get down to business and start talking about ESL, since we just got through with that. Here's a look at our results. We're going to do it all over again, doesn't matter to me. Here we go. So these were the EU monthly final results, and a few surprising results here, as a matter of fact. Of course, the top 8 teams who managed to qualify for the monthly finals were Crown and Jewels, Firewall, Supersonic Avengers, Galactic Lions, Spectral, the Three Musketeers, Manteca FC, and Torched. So those 8 teams were the ones who did fairly well throughout the month of December in ESL Go for Rocket League. So they earned enough points to qualify into this tournament. But the biggest results, the biggest things to take away from this, clearly was the performance of Galactic Lions, who would start things off in this tournament by eliminating Supersonic Avengers 3-2. A very surprising result, and not exactly the sort of start that I think Supersonic Avengers was hoping to have. But moving on from there, of course, Crown and Jewels would take out Firewall 3-0. Spectral would also have their way with Three Musketeers 3-0 in a slightly less surprising result, but still fairly surprising. And Manteca FC would eliminate Torched. So moving on, Galactic Lions would proceed to make it a fight against Crown and Jewels, forcing a full 5-game set against the really one of the more dominant teams, especially on the ESL side here in Europe. And Galactic Lions nearly got the job done, but they weren't able to do it. Spectral, though, making very quick work of Manteca FC, going 3-0 in that series, as both teams would earn a spot in the finals. And the grand finals would be about as hype as it gets. Crown and Jewels taking 4 games to Spectral's 3 in a back-and-forth series that saw some really amazing plays and some amazing players, and it all came down to a 2-1 Game 7. Very, very close for the potential of Spectral to get the big upset here. But honestly, the performance of Spectral and Galactic Lions in particular are 2 teams really worth noting, just based off of how they've been so far. But with all that in mind, the way Galactic Lions have played, they just broke into the top 10 of the EU Power Rankings. I highly expect them to move up in those rankings. And based off of everything that's happened, Galactic Lions looking to be a new face in the premier EU scene going forward. But it would be Crown and Jewels who would win the ESL December EU monthly finals and end up taking home the £150 prize, or 150 euro. Either way, 150 euros. They would end up getting that. And, of course, the final 4 teams, Crown and Jewels, Galactic Lions, Spectral, and Manteca FC, will earn titles in the game, where Crown and Jewels, whoever doesn't have it yet, will earn the ESL Monthly Champion title. So, those are your results for ESL. But an incredibly exciting tournament, really full of some of the best action I've seen lately. It was a fantastic tournament. But moving forward, I think now it's appropriate that we talk about the Rocket League Central Pro League. Big news to come out of here, a big change to this Sunday's event. Take a look at this. This is your new Week 2 schedule. A little bit of adjustment made on the EU side. Now these teams are going to be playing different matchups than what we initially thought, due to some changes to the actual bye week. So the matches that we initially had planned for Week 2 will take place during Week 3. But for now, this is your Week 2 schedule, and that's going to take place this Sunday. Myself and Shogun will be casting the EU region games, and myself and the Pash will be bringing you the NA region games. But this is your new schedule, so With the changes, we've got Flipside meeting up with Noble, so their first match back from their initial bye week is going straight into Flipside tactics. Crown and Jewels, the current #1 team in EU, will be taking on Spectral in a big rematch of an intense monthly final competition. And then finally, SK will be meeting up with Supersonic Avengers. The NA side will remain the same schedule we've had, but those are the changes to EU. That is what will happen. The schedule that we initially had announced will take place next week instead. So this Sunday, there is your schedule. It is going to be a series of big games between huge teams. And I'm going to tell you right now, the game that stands out the most to me, it was going to be Flipside versus Crown and Jewels, but now it's Crown and Jewels versus Spectral. That, after what we saw today in the ESL monthly final, there's no way I can deny that that is going to be probably one of the more hype and closest series that we're going to have this Sunday. So once again, this will all take place Sunday starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. That is 6 p.m. GMT, 7 CET. It will all take place on twitch.tv/Rocket League Central. Now, the change happened for reasons beyond what happened during ESL. It all took place because of bye-week concerns. So it was something agreed between the teams that were doing everything. These matches were going to happen anyway. You know, it's not like we are including matches that would have never happened. We're just changing around the order a little bit. So, big news here. Wanted to make sure everybody knew what was going on, because a huge change to the schedule for next week, this Sunday, for the RLC Pro League. But that is your schedule now. And once more, the matches that initially were scheduled for this Sunday will be taking place next week, on week 3 of the RLC Pro League. So there you have it. Big news for the RLC Pro League. Alright, back to the action at hand. So I've already talked about ESL. A fantastic monthly final cast by Technolink. Really solid stuff. And the change to RLC Pro League. And that is what we have had thus far. But with that being said, before we get into our next topic, let's turn to the chat. What do you all think of what transpired not only during today's ESL monthly final, but the new changes to this week's RLC Pro League schedule? You know, are you excited about any certain matches? Do you think that the Spectral Crown and Jewels match, which now ends up being a rematch of the Grand Finals, will be exceedingly hype? It's worth saying. Sports, formerly known as Team Shazoo, no longer has O'Neal on the team. He's now playing for Team Rocket. But yes, Stocky, formerly of Swarm Gaming, and of course the former Peace Hater team, which is now Crown and Jewels. Skyline and Vogan, who have been longtime members of Shazoo in various roles. So, yeah, iBuyPower versus Not stands to be a very, 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 very competitive game. We take another look at this schedule. So on the NA region, of course, you've got iBuyPower Cosmic taking on Team Never on Target, or Not. Nexus going up against Orange Creamsicle, which should also be a very hype match. And Kings of Urban going up against Failure to Launch. That is a series that I feel could tilt heavily in the favor of Kings of Urban here, who came in as the #2 team in the NA region initially, before the season started, of course. But, well, we'll take a look back again. Here is the look at today's EU monthly final. Those are your series scores. An incredible final between Crown and Jewels and Spectral. Some of the most exciting Rocket League took place in that series and in the series just before it, Crown and Jewels versus Galactic Lions. I mean, both of those sets were incredibly intense, went the full length, and saw, honestly, some of the best Rocket League, period. But really good stuff. So back to our schedule at hand. Orange Creamsicle versus Nexus should be a very close game. I expect pretty quality performance out of both teams. Nexus still trying to figure out themselves a little bit. Hopefully the full squad will be back and present and able to play. We did have Pluto, who was subbed out for that particular set. But all in all, a nice collection of games here. I feel that Supersonic Avengers, though, considering they came off of a 0-5 performance against Crown and Jewels in Week 1 and just got eliminated by Galactic Lions here during the ESL Monthly Final, they're going to have a bit of a hard time against SK Gaming. I certainly feel like they are. It's going to be a difficult task for them. But, again, we've got Spectral and Crown and Jewels, an exceedingly hype matchup, and Flipside versus Noble. And that is something that should be an interesting match. We haven't seen Noble in a long time. They have not played in many, many weeks. And that's a bit of a problem for them. Because, it's... they haven't played in really many, many, many weeks. The fact that they're coming straight in to taking on Flipside is, a big test for them. But we'll end up seeing how that plays out. So, alright, with all that being said, now that we've talked about esports, I think we've answered everybody. Let's get into our next subject at hand. This is something I wanted to talk about, or at least, allow everybody to talk about. And that is a car tier list that was released by Subn from Voltage. And I'm going to post the link up in the chat so that you'll have this to review as we're talking about it. But, we're going to take a look at everything right now, and this is just a breakdown of all the cars in the game and how they rank in terms of just overall performance. And of course tier 1 is best, and it goes down from there in terms of how Subn feels they are ideal. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts as we're talking about this, but we'll start with, of course, tier 1, the cars considered the ideal cars of the game. There's no particular order within the tier, it's just these are all basically on equal footing and personal preference. So tier 1 consisted of Breakout, Dominus, Octane, and the Merc, interestingly enough. So Subn says for Breakout, fast and controlled turning and power sliding, its record length creates easy ground dribbles into air dribbles, and the hitbox is extremely accurate to its model. It's the 4th lowest car, but definitely doesn't feel like that. It's easy to land aerials, but it does feel a little goofy when you flip forward for speed because of how long the car is. It doesn't affect play, so it's mostly just aesthetics. Dominus, which is next on there. Fantastic aerial control, strong hits off walls and off of quick bounces. Perhaps air control comes from its slim body and square shape. The 2nd lowest car, but again, doesn't really feel that way. It's fast at turning, so no complaints there. The Octane, it's tall, great for the Marky and Pashy style hits, has good turning. It's not as fast as Dominus or Breakout, but you don't feel like you're turning too slow. It is very accurate for shots that you even have a moment to set up for. 50-50 contests really aren't 50-50, and has a nice tall hitbox that allows for some pretty strong blocks in 1v1 scenarios. And finally, we'll talk about the Merc, which is also another car in the first tier here of these car tier lists. This is actually a groundbreaking car. It's the most unique and in many good ways. So first off, being that the tallest really pays off in risky contests. Like the Octane, you can keep the ball near you and jump slightly to win 50-50 with a much higher chance of winning than other cars. The height also means that your shots are more controllable at high speeds. It's the only car that can score an immediate goal at full speed from kickoff position. That in itself is game-changing as it drastically changes how you'd approach a shot near midfield. Not having to jump for a lower hit means that you can save your jump for a contest, or juke somehow, or whatever. You can save the jump for when you need it. Its dribbling is also strong. It's basically a better gizmo. Its aerials are also easy to land, not like the Dominus though, simply different. So there's your tier 1 of those particular cars. What do you all think as far as tier 1 goes? Do you agree, disagree with any of those choices? I'd love to know what you guys think as we're moving on. But we'll keep talking, because I'm going to ask you the same thing for every tier. I'm seeing some feedback already, so we'll come back to that when we're at the end. Tier 2, Hot Shot, Ripper, Roadhog, X-Devil, and Zippy are your Tier 2 cars. It's a Hot Shot. It's a very strong car. Has the best turning hands down. It's terrific at doing throws. And it's got strong hits, sort of like Dominance. Aerials are not quite Tier 1, but perhaps it's just the odd shape, because hitting it from the front is fine, but once you start rotating, you realize it's not Dominus. It has decent height, but it feels like a very low car for some reason, especially when you're dribbling. How long is this session going to be? Until we're done. Probably around, I usually target around an hour, but we'll see how it goes. Next up, Ripper. Surprisingly good. I really think the aerials shine with this one, but its dribbles are nothing to scoff at. It's the second longest car right after Breakout, so aerial dribbling is fantastic. It's also a little taller, but feels about as tall as Breakout. Honestly, it's just like the Breakout, but has worse turning, and it's taller. So it's a good car, and might be what players are looking for if the Breakout just doesn't quite work for them. But it won't really be the pick if they're looking for power slide dribble more, even though that it's taller. It's an aerial car, kind of stuck in the middle of what dribblers like. I feel that we haven't looked at this car quite enough, however, so maybe it still has potential. Next up, Roadhog. Why don't people use this again? It's a great car, it has good turning, decent height. Nothing special to note, but I can't quite put this in Tier 1 because it does feel a little short when aerialing. However, I don't feel that it should put this car off the radar of people looking to try something new. Alright, X-Devil next on here. I hate to do this, but really the Roadhog's description is exactly what I have to say about the X-Devil. It's a lower variant, however, and oh so slightly shorter. Also, I'd say the aerial predicament I have with the Roadhog is less evident with the X-Devil. Thank you for the host, Chopped. Much appreciated. Tier 3. Now that we're out of the first two tiers, the DeLorean. When I use this car, it looks great, sounds great, it's a lot of fun. But unfortunately, I can't use this car when the Breakout exists. Slightly worse dribbling, slightly worse aerials, and inaccurate hitbox all put it a grade lower than it should be. Its non-power slide turning also isn't anything to brag about. With that said, a bad Breakout is still not Tier 4. Grog comes in at Tier 3. I hope this car would maybe shake up the 1v1 meta, but it didn't. Oh well. I'm afraid, however, the good things I have to say about this car may just be in my head, so be warned. It feels like a very solid car, and not as in good, I just mean literally constructed solidly. It feels like a tank. It feels heavy and strong, so my hits seem to follow suit. It doesn't turn well, however, and that's a big minus. But when I use this car, I tend to think more. The turning is so bad I feel I must think 4 steps ahead. If you want a different experience, play this car. Scarab. Coming in at top 3 on the Tier 3 as well. Speaking of a different experience, imagine an Octane with a fourth of the entire car chopped off the front. You basically have what it feels like to play the Scarab. It's got some great ball control, I'll give it that, but it's insanely short. Not to mention its model feels very odd to use during aerials. Altogether, it's a fine car, but with a decent turning and deflections, but it takes a special kind of player to use it. Special kind of player. I think that's why I use Scarab. And of course at Tier 3 also, Venom. Probably the best card of the Tier 3s, but I can't do it. As cool as it looks and as great as it is, I can't. The Venom has good strong hits, feels accurate, has good ball control and wicked aerials, but when you do those things, the car feels slightly sluggish. It was a lot worse before the buff to its turning, but the feeling still remains. Think 60 FPS in video games compared to 24 FPS for movies for that cinematic feel. Yeah, once again, this is a post that was put up on Reddit a few days back by Subn. There's the link to it. I'm not taking any credit for this. I just wanted to relay it to all of you so we can have a little bit of discussion. And finally, Tier 4. So this is the bottom of the list. Gizmo. What was once thought to be the best dribbling car really turned out to be the best car to learn dribbling. There's one thing that the Gizmo is good at, and that's keeping the ball on top of your car. It's too bad it doesn't score goals. Its lobs really aren't that good since it's kind of short, so you can't get the ball on your little so you can get the ball on your little Gizmo, but getting it around your opponent gets trickier. Air dribblers are no good. Aerials in general feel slow and weak. The turning sucks by today's standards. It's really just a really, really, really bad Merc now. I never thought I'd type out a sentence like that. Next up, Paladin. Another fallen god of a car. Originally popularized by Kronovi, we soon realized it's garbage. It's way too short, ball control gets harder, its turning is better than before, but not good enough. Terrible contests, sluggish in general. The one redeeming quality perhaps is that it's easy to redirect shots, which is a little too narrow of a skill for such a poor car. Takumi. Somewhere under there I can see a good car, but it's hidden under all the mediocrity that's the Takumi. It's short, turns poorly, low to the ground, its aerials feel a little on the weaker side, and its redirects are more difficult. But it does have some good points, the most important of which is its shots feel quite strong and accurate, and it looks cool. But these points aren't quite enough to get it out of the Tier 4 range. I do see a lot of players using this card. I'm thinking it's simply because there isn't any real substitute for players that want a smaller car, except for, oh wait, it's Zippy. Finally, Backfire. I really hate this car. I put it last because of how much I hate it. Doesn't matter that it's last, but I did it anyway. I hate its model, I hate its hitbox, I hate its turning, I hate its aerials, I hate its dribbles, aerials, air dribbles, power sliding, freestyling, even its name. I've always hated this car and will forever continue to hate this car. If you want to use this car, here's my advice. Don't. It does kind of have a strong hitbox though. So there you go. Those are the tier list for the cars in Rocket League. So now, talk to me a little bit, chat. You've seen the list, you got a link to it, we can review it now. What do you think? And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? What are the cars that you think really stand out? But, talk to me now, like, what do you think about this list? Are there any ranks you disagree with? Are there any opinions you have differently? Because these cars are very similar in a lot of ways. But clearly there's enough difference where skilled players tend to notice this. Okay, you say Grog is stupidly underrated. Well, Grog right now listed here as a T3. You think it should be Tier 2. Okay. Well, I think as far as his opinions on the Merc in Tier 1, I can get his idea. Like, he's not exactly saying that all of the cars in Tier 1 are exactly the same, but there's certain uses that make it very strong, and I think there's a lot of power, there's a lot of benefit to the Merc. There's a lot of hate for it, mainly because it's a big friggin' van, but it does have a lot of potential. It is a little slower, so you can go full speed on kickoffs. You don't have to worry about redirecting the ball anywhere. You can take solid midfield shots, like you said. It gives you a big wall to use defensively because it has a huge hitbox. So it does have some benefit, even in 50-50s, like he also mentioned, because there's more car there. So I think I see why he put it in Tier 1. It's not quite as terrible as a lot of people think it is. You know, attacking the Merc is more of just like a joke at this point, despite an accurate, statement when you really break it down. Yeah, longer cars do look better for freestyles, that's for sure. I've tried doing aerials and stuff in a Scarab, and it's just weird, man. That thing shouldn't be flipping through the air. It should be on the moon picking up rocks and doing soil samples. Yeah, Aftershock is an old car from the original game, super powered acrobatic rocket powered battle cars. Supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle cars. There we go. But yeah, that is part of the original name for Cosmic Aftershock. Cosmic is their favorite map, and Aftershock is their favorite car. But Aftershock is not currently in the game, Probably will be in the future, I'd imagine. My guess is that any car from Battle Cars will probably ultimately wind up in Rocket League, maybe. Unless they've replaced it with something comparable, just under a different name. But, I don't know. Now, Takumi is in Tier 4. So, if you're using Takumi, it feels Tier 4, man. But, so this is good. I'd like to know more. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know, I'll put the link to this in the description. So, you know, feel free to read it and leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to see what they are. You can also hit me up with them on Twitter. There's not a lot of text room there. And of course, all of you who are here live can just leave your thoughts in the comments or in the chat, and I'll respond to it. Because it'll also be on the video feed, like you're all seeing. So, yeah, I mean, it's very possible. You know, I don't know what we'll do if there's a new map added in the middle of the season, and if it'll be allowed in the map pool. I guess that's going to be something we'll probably pose to the players and see if they're interested or okay with putting it in a map pool. Yeah, so there is your 4-tier system for all of the cars. And I can definitely see there's a lot of disagreement. Doesn't surprise me one bit. There certainly, I guess, should be, in the scheme of things. You know, that's kind of how, it's all just personal opinion and kind of personal breakdown and stuff like that. But well, Dominus is one of those really preferred cars, I think, across the scene. I think it's got to be the most popular car, I think. Between it and Octane, you know, that's about as popular as it gets on the pro scene. So, sometimes it can be just the way the car feels, too. Even if it's not something that's actually different, the way you look at it, the way you see it, the way you can respond to how the car reacts might be different depending on the shape of the car and everything like that. So there's a lot of benefit to that, for sure. I mean, there's a benefit to adding some of the older content back into the game, or at least, you know, putting a modern interpretation on it. You know, it's obviously that the Wasteland that we have now is not the same exact Wasteland, and I'm sure things would have little touches and tweaks if they were to be put into Rocket League. And I think it's fine to kind of harken back to where everything got started. You know, plus they already made all this content for a game that really nobody plays, so why not put it into a game that has 10 million players? You know, give it a little bit of exposure for all the hard work you did. It really is, yeah. That's a very good point, Manong. It is just like choosing your starter Pokemon. And Dominus is Charmander. I think they will. I mean, adding a new map to the game, you know, it's always something they want to do, but they always do it carefully. That's why we haven't seen a ton of maps just get poured into the game. You know, there's a lot of maps that are just slight aesthetic changes of other maps, like Urban and Urban Night, Utopia, Utopia Dusk. Which one is it? Is it Beckwith that has night, like Midnight and Stormy, or something like that? So, you know, there's a lot of just slight variations to maps that get kind of thrown into it. But Mercus Pikachu. Okay. I like to think that Scarab is Psyduck. Maybe that'll be the next question we ask. What is the best comparison of car to Pokemon? Yeah, I think a lot of players would like to see, a lot of old players would like to see Cosmic in there. You know, the map Cosmic. Yeah, Sweet Tooth wasn't on the list. Granted, it's PS4 exclusive, so I guess I just didn't feel like doing it. Of course, we're going to have a couple of Xbox exclusive cars showing up at some point. But oh, you like the inclusion of Sploon Shalthus in the graphic? Well, thank you. I figured I had to incorporate that somewhere, so why not there? So, all right. Before I get into Q&A, like open Q&A, I want to let everybody know I'm doing a little bit of a donation incentive now. I had an idea last night, and there might be some appeal to it, so I'm going to throw it out there and see if anybody's interested. In the follower notification, that is that's somebody's watching me by, I don't remember the guy's name. Like the one who's singing that, that's clearly Michael Jackson, but that's not his song. I don't remember the guy who actually has the song. But it's starting up again. The follower train. Anyway, while we're waiting on that, Rockwell, yes. Thank you, Morbo. Good call. I could not remember his name. Yes, that is Rockwell. Somebody's watching me with Michael Jackson doing the chorus. So, good times. Anyway, donation incentive, like I wanted to mention. If you donate more than $5 or more at any time, even if I'm off air, I will record for you any kind of soundbite you want. You can include it in the note for the donation, or you can ping me after the fact with something if you want it to be a little more elaborate. Or if you... I can either do it in my normal shoutcaster voice, you know, and give it that really pronounced feel if you want. Or I can do Rick from Rick and Morty. You know, I can do whatever you want, Morty. Whatever voice you want to hear. So, or whatever, you know. Let me know if there's something special you'd like. But again, it can even be personalized if you want it for your follower notification for Twitch or your, you know, any kind of notification alert or something like that. Just, you know, let me know what you'd like, what kind of message you want exactly, and as long as you donate at least $5 or more, I will do it for you, no problem. So, there you go. That's my donation incentive. You can do it. You can do it here on Twitch. If you're on YouTube and watching this after the fact, just donate through the Twitch page, so that I get notification. But do it. I mean, hell, I'll take it. Like I said, a minimum of $5. But if you want to do more, obviously it's always welcome, because the more I can get, the better this is going to be. Well, thank you. I can also do Gilbert Gottfried. That has always been kind of one of my go-to impressions. When I wanted to do a celebrity, it's the only one I think I can do exceptionally well. Rick is brand new, and I'm still kind of figuring him out, but... Do I think the emote, you mean? Because, yeah, I think it has. It is basically a little meme in the world of Rocket League. Alright, Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah, I can...
So, I want to do a little bit of the Gilbert Gottfried, but I'm not so good at it. It's taken me a lot of time to get just right, but I can do it pretty good. I've done a lot of extra effort in making it really special.
So, here you go. Little taste of that. Thank you for the follow. I've gotten several follows, but thank you very much for them. So yeah, Gilbert's my go-to. Brick is brand new, but I think I got him pretty well. So yeah, I'll do Gilbert Gottfried for you, my usual voice for you. Whatever you want, I'll record a very special soundbite, and I won't even just do it on stream, so you have to like record it off of the stream or something. I will send you a high-definition audio file of that recording for whatever you'd like. But yeah, all you have to do, again, just donate at least $5 or more. Mention in the note that you want to take advantage of the donation incentive, and then just tell me what you want. You can either tell me in the note, after the fact, in a message on Twitch, message me on Twitter, on YouTube, whatever. You know, let me know. Just as long as there's a donation to accompany it, I will get notification of it. I'll see your message, and we'll make it happen, for sure. And of course, there is always the text-to-speech thing, which is active right now. So any donation that comes in will get read text-to-speech-wise. So you'll have that to enjoy. But yeah, I will give you my own thing. Excuse me, my own thing after the fact. So, anywho, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let us open up the floodgates. It is time for open Q&A. Whatever questions you have, whether they are about the scene, whether they're about Rocket League in general, or really whatever's on your mind, fire them off in the chat right now, and I will respond to them appropriately as best as I can. Just don't ask me to rank players, because I'm not going to be able to do it very well. You can keep asking me who I think my favorite player is, and that's fine, but thanks, Zoomy. Much, much appreciated. Did you miss the major news? Well, we announced there's a new schedule for this week in Rocket League. No, there's a new schedule for this Sunday in the RLC Pro League. So, Pro League will, there are going to be some slight changes to it. I'll show you those really quick. This is the Week 2 schedule for RLC Pro League. There are some big changes to it. They occurred earlier today, like way earlier today before anything happened. But that's the big news. Just a huge change to the schedule, and of course getting that big Spectral and Crown and Jewels matchup is pretty damn hype. So, that should be good. Okay. Shalthus, would I say gird your loins and open the gates if I donate $5? Yes, absolutely. Stick $5 or more. Just ask me what you want to hear. I mean, I'm not gonna go on for I'm not gonna read a book to you or anything, but I'll give you like a soundbite of pretty much whatever. We can cap it at like 30 seconds if you really want me to do something elaborate, but we'll talk. Just tell me what you want me to do. I'll tell you, if I can do it, and we'll do that. But yeah, that's easy, absolutely. A map with less boost. Yeah, I think being able to control boost would be good. That's why I like the mutator where you recharge boost. Have that and just take all the boost off the field. Just a slow build back up. Do I think Galleon should be implemented? I do. Maybe not the exact version of Galleon, but a similar map where there's big obstructions in the middle of the field and you have to do creative play with the ball to get it around, and you can't just shoot it straight downfield necessarily. I would love to see maps like that. Some maps that are super non-standard I think would be really cool. I saw that. Yes, Scrubkilla. I missed your question, but I got it now. Do I make any money? Not really off of this. I'm trying. That's why I do this stuff so often. That's why I shoutcast so often, because I'd like to be able to do this. But I'm not. I try to write to make money, but even that's getting a little hard right now. So I'm on the cusp of maybe having to get a regular job again. But I'm trying to do everything in my power to pay my bills and pay my expenses without having to go there. But anyway, yeah, Galleon did that. I don't know why Ring Telephone Ring jumped around like that, but it is what it is. Like the whole team, Three Musketeers, disbanded and rebanded within the week, so it was very interesting. Mike would abuse me so much. He already does, but in what in particular? Like the donation incentive? Because that's fine. Like I said, I'll do whatever. If you're going to donate to me, I'll give you anything. That's fine. See ya, Yofizi. Sorry, Yofizi. The font shows up really green on my end. Anyway. Can you host if you're under 13? I don't know. I mean, you can... I don't know. Probably not. I think I'm all caught up, so yeah, back to it. Give me questions, because when we wrap up here, I'm going to have a question for all of you. But for now, I want, give me any questions you may have. Again, if you have questions about the game, about the competitive scene, EU, NA, the power rankings, whatever you want to talk about, now is your time. Go ahead and make it happen. High risk, Shrubkilla. It's going to pay off, though, in the big run. But thank you very much for the host. Pups, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Edison. So I think it just got knocked off the page, but anyway, what teams not in the IRCL and RPL do you think are the next big things? There's several that I think are. One big team that we've really just seen and they're starting to climb is Galactic Lions. They're making their way into the scene and really standing out. So Galactic Lions is a big team to keep an eye on. Wherever Scrubkilla and Lunation wind up, whatever happens, if those two stay on the same team and pick up a third, that could be a big team to watch. Other teams, you know, there's always a few that are floating out there. Ascension on the NA side, they're a pretty solid team that I would say keep an eye on. We might start seeing some more out of them. Yeah, there's actually quite a few, especially on EU. EU is terrible at that. EU is so dense with competition that there's so many teams that aren't, you know, in there any further. So. Let's see, did I miss anything? I probably did miss something. Hold on. So yeah. Who do I think will have the most wins in RPL, both EU and NA? Well, we're only 1 week down, so it's kind of hard to say. But based off what we've seen so far, and based off of how well I know these teams play, I think Crown and Jewels might end up leading the pack for EU, and probably Cosmic for NA. That is my best guess. But we'll see. We've got a lot of Rocket League left to go in the RPL. Door's still open. Opportunity's still there if you have any further questions. If we run out of questions, then I'm going to probably wrap up pretty soon here. It's so weird that I have just the one light. I forgot to turn on the room light, so it looks like I'm just kind of hiding in a dark room or something. Yeah, Spectral. Spectral are all non-vets. And they are, like, a serious contender, like, legit contender. Is RLC planning on hosting any Open tournaments in the future? I don't know about Open. We'd like to. We really would. We'd like to keep hosting as much as we can. Like the dream would be able to host Rocket League content week long, like tournaments and events and special things and all sorts of stuff. So For my XMG, I thought one of them was. That's why I'm not sure. I don't remember, though. Well, Not has Kyle, and isn't Kyle a SARP bet? I can't remember who is and isn't a SARP bet these days. But, Same response I can give you, Primetime. We don't have anything planned. We don't have anything in the works. But I'm sure we'd like to. You know? Or at least have, like, an OSC or OCE division that can coordinate that stuff and help do it. But, tournaments. I mean, that's what I follow, is the tournament scene. So, I mean, there's players like Stoney. You know, he's in Australia, so he can't really play much in tournaments. He has done sub work before, but he's fantastic. But he can't do it in there. I'm not trying to dodge any questions. If I'm missing a question, just like yell at me or ask it again. What do I think of SRPBC Remaster, please? I like those guys, but they're a little hard to read. Like, they've got a lot of talent, but it's not getting them as far as I thought they'd get. They've picked up some big wins since their inception, but I don't know. They're kind of hit or miss a little bit here. Carry them regardless, and that works in some situations when you've got a ton of that individual skill, but you really have to have a well-coordinated, well-oiled team game. And Not does that pretty well, but they have had some issues with that in the past. So I don't know if I'd say somebody is a weak link, per se. I don't know if that's deliberately an attempt for me to say Kyle Mass or something, but I'm not going to. I just think that they need to improve that team side, and we'll probably start seeing them more consistently winning against the big teams in NA. Okay. Well, maybe he just didn't want to do the threes thing anymore too often, or I don't know. Cookie was always really good to watch. I enjoyed watching him play. Alright. What is it that Flipside Tactics does? Whoa. A lot of stuff coming in. What is it that Flipside Tactics does that makes them better than the other teams? They have an insane amount of individual skill, and they're starting to become a better team as well. So they're not quite the powerhouse they used to be, but every member of that team has such a high level of skill that it's basically like playing an all-star team every time you play Flipside. So, what is Flipside's weakest link? I would have to say it's just the team game in general. Like, they don't have many things that they do poorly, aside from when they just stop playing or don't care. But when they're on point, it's really just making sure that that team-based coordination's there, and it's been getting better and better and better week over week that they play, when they play, actually. Let's see. I mean, a coach can't be the weakest link on a team necessarily, but if a team crumbles when you rotate the starting three, then now you have a weak link. You know, you figured out who it is. He could be, yeah. I mean, with Cookseer, you know, he puts so much flash behind everything he does that sometimes you just don't need the flash. You need the, you know, you don't need the sizzle, you need the steak. You know? But Flipside has the counter side of their other members are Marky Duda and Mike Rules. Probably the top two players in the world overall. You know, when I ask players, like, when I ask people or players or anybody who watches the scene, like, who do you think's the best player in the world, they'll either say Mike or Marky. Like, I personally say Marky, some people I know say Mike, so that helps that both of them are on the same team. So, what do I do as coach for SNK? I mean, mostly my job consists of reviewing replays, even reviewing scrims, going over results, providing feedback, you know, coaching things, general stuff like that, and just trying to give them an idea of what's going right, what's going wrong, making sure they have that extra set of eyes, an extra bit of awareness onto certain things. Yeah, Cooksier functions well on Flipside because he has those two players around him that can respond well to any kind of issues. So, but Mike and Marky are, again, like I said, probably the two best players in the world. You put them with anybody that has solid skill, and they will get results. Hell, they played with me, and even, you know, they were still taking care of business. So, the major news was a big schedule change to this Sunday's event. So that's the major news. And we'll take a look at it one more time. This is your new Week 2 schedule for the RLC Pro League. So some changes on the EU side. Big matchups still there, but a little unexpected. No longer Flipside versus Crown and Jewels. Instead, Crown and Jewels gets Spectral, so a rematch from the monthly finals. And that is what the change is. What are my thoughts on the monthly finals? Monthly finals were incredible. Like, we saw so much good stuff out of Galactic Lions and Spectral. And it was really just outstanding stuff. So, it was a great tournament. I thoroughly enjoyed playing that. One more call for questions, and then we're going to wrap things up here. Alright, we'll tell you what we'll do. We are now closing in on our first hour, so I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you the question of the day. So this question, I'm going to pose to you. How this is going to work basically is I'm going to pose this question to you at the end of every broadcast, and I'll give you an entire day to come up with some responses and then send them my way. So those of you who are watching this live, just throw your responses up in the chat. If you want, you can also hit them to me on Twitter, @Shalthus, or you can leave them in the comments on YouTube, and I will get to them there. So today's question that I want to know: what team do you think will have the most success in 2016? So again, leave your thoughts, leave your answers in the comments on YouTube, in the chat on Twitch, or hit them up to me on Twitter. Whatever you feel like doing, I will get your responses and we will talk about them tomorrow. Tomorrow's event. So be there, and I will see you all next time. But that's going to do it for this episode. Just keep leaving stuff in the comment section. Even when the stream ends, I will still get it for sure. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. And I hope you will be here tomorrow for the NA Power Ranking show. Ooh, it's going to be fun. So that's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. Or be square-shaped. Alright, Al. See you next time. Take care.